Imagine a city bathed in the golden light of the East, where every sunrise paints a picture of timeless beauty and history. A place where bustling markets echo with the sounds of traders, towering churches stand as guardians of faith, and formidable walls tell tales of ancient battles. This was Edessa, the first Crusader state, a city that stood as a testament to the resilience and ambition of its founders. A beacon of Christendom in the heart of the Muslim world, Edessa was more than just a city. It was a symbol of hope and defiance. Founded in 1098 after the First Crusade, Edessa was a symbol of Christian dominance, a city that represented the triumph of faith over adversity. It stood as a testament to the raw power of faith, a city that inspired countless pilgrims and warriors alike. For almost 50 years, it stood as a bulwark against the forces of the Seljuk Turks, a fortress that defied the odds and held its ground. A shining example of Western strength in the East, Edessa was a city that embodied the spirit of the Crusaders, but Edessa's time was running out. The once mighty city was beginning to show signs of decline, its walls no longer as impenetrable as they once were. In the year 1144, the winds of change were blowing across the plains of Mesopotamia, bringing with them a sense of impending doom. The Seljuk Turks, under their ambitious leader Imad ad-Din Zengi, were uniting and growing stronger, their eyes set on the prize that was Edessa. Zengi, a ruler of immense ambition and military prowess, set his sights on Edessa. He was a leader who understood the importance of strategic victories. He knew that capturing this symbolic city would be a blow against the Crusaders and a giant leap toward establishing his dominance in the region. The fate of Edessa hung in the balance as the forces of history converged upon its ancient walls. For 6 long weeks, Edessa's defences held firm. The air was thick with the stench of smoke and the cries of the wounded. The defenders, outnumbered but determined, fought with the courage of those who knew they were fighting for their homes and their faith. They repelled assault after assault, their resolve hardening with every passing day. But Zengi was not a man to be deterred. He employed cunning tactics and relentless assaults, slowly tightening his grip on the city. He used powerful siege engines capable of hurling huge stones to weaken Edessa's defences. He exploited every weakness, every crack in the city's armour. He cut off supply lines, starving the city and its people. On December 24th, 1144, tragedy struck. One of Zengi's siege towers, laden with his fiercest warriors, reached the walls of Edessa. The defenders, exhausted and overwhelmed, could not hold them back. The gates were breached and the city was overrun. Edessa, the jewel of the East, fell to Zengi's forces. The fall of Edessa was brutal and swift. Zengi, eager to make an example of the city, allowed his troops to unleash their fury. The streets ran red with the blood of the fallen, the cries of the dying echoing through the once bustling marketplace. The city that had stood as a symbol of Christian strength for almost 50 years was now a scene of unimaginable carnage. Edessa wasn't just another conquest. It was a strategic linchpin in the Crusader defences. Its location, perched on the eastern frontier, made it a vital buffer zone, protecting the more established Crusader kingdoms of Antioch, Tripoli and Jerusalem from the full might of the Seljuk Turks. The city controlled vital trade routes and acted as an early warning system against any Muslim advance. Edessa's fall was a deafening alarm bell, a stark realization that the Crusader states, once considered invincible, were not immune to the shifting tides of power in the region. The loss of such a crucial stronghold sent shockwaves through the Crusader world, shattering the illusion of their unchallenged dominance. It exposed the fragility of the Crusader states, their vulnerability to the resurgent forces of Islam. Section 5. Shockwaves across Europe. News of Edessa's fall spread across Europe like wildfire, carried by weary travellers and panicked merchants. The news wasn't just met with sorrow, it ignited a firestorm of fear and anger. People who had once celebrated the victories of the First Crusade were now confronted with the very real possibility of the entire Crusader project unravelling. The fall of this distant city, a place many Europeans would never see, had a profound impact on their collective psyche. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of their world, their vulnerability to the forces of a seemingly unstoppable enemy. The news of Edessa's fall wasn't just a military defeat, it was a spiritual earthquake. Section 6. The Papal Response. Pope Eugenius III's call. The fall of Edessa demanded a response, a rallying cry to defend Christendom from the encroaching tide of Islam. Pope Eugenius III, deeply alarmed by the news, issued a call to arms, a papal bull known as Quantum Predecessoris. This wasn't just a call to defend the remaining Crusader states, it was a call to reclaim what was lost, to avenge the fallen, to reassert the dominance of Christendom. The Pope's message was clear. The fall of Edessa was not just a defeat, it was a challenge, a test of faith. He promised spiritual rewards, a plenary indulgence for those who answered the call, a guaranteed ticket to heaven for those who took up arms to defend the Holy Land. Section 7. The Second Crusade, A New Hope. The response to the Pope's call was overwhelming. Across Europe, from the bustling cities to the quiet villages, men and women answered the call to arms. Kings, knights, and commoners, driven by a potent mix of religious zeal, a thirst for adventure, and a desire to protect their faith, flocked to join the Second Crusade. This wasn't just a military campaign, it was a mass movement, a tidal wave of humanity sweeping across Europe, united by a single cause: to retake Edessa and secure the Holy Land. The Second Crusade, fueled by the fall of Edessa, became one of the largest mobilizations of manpower in the Middle Ages. Section 8. The Shadow of Edessa. The Second Crusade, despite its initial promise, ended in failure. The Crusader armies, weakened by internal divisions and plagued by logistical nightmares, were unable to achieve their objectives. The siege of Damascus, a key target in the campaign, ended in disaster, further eroding the morale and strength of the Crusader forces. The failure to retake Edessa and the subsequent defeat at Damascus had a profound psychological impact on the West. It shattered the myth of Crusader invincibility, replacing it with a growing sense of doubt and disillusionment. It sowed the seeds of doubt about the entire Crusader project, raising questions about its true purpose and its ultimate cost. Section 9. The Long Shadow of Edessa, a turning point. The fall of Edessa was more than just a military defeat. It was a turning point in the history of the Crusades. This event signaled a dramatic shift in the balance of power in the region, shaking the very foundations of the Crusader states. It marked the beginning of the decline of the Crusader states, a slow but steady erosion of their power and influence in the region. The once formidable strongholds began to crumble, and the morale of the Crusader knights waned. It also had a profound impact on the relationship between the West and the Islamic world, deepening existing divisions and fueling centuries of mistrust and conflict. The fall of Edessa became a symbol of the fragile nature of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land. The loss of Edessa served as a constant reminder of the West's vulnerability, a spur for future crusades, each one more desperate than the last. The Crusaders were driven by a renewed sense of urgency, determined to reclaim their lost territories. The memory of Edessa, the first to fall, would continue to haunt the Crusader states, a harbinger of the eventual collapse of their dominion in the Holy Land. This loss was a stark reminder of the impermanence of their conquests and the relentless challenges they faced. Section 10. Conclusion. The Enduring Legacy. The fall of Edessa in 1144 was a seismic event that reverberated through the corridors of history. This pivotal moment not only marked the collapse of a key Crusader stronghold, but also sent shockwaves across the medieval world, altering the course of history in profound ways. It marked a turning point in the Crusades, shattered the illusion of Crusader invincibility, and ignited a firestorm of religious zeal and military ambition that would shape the destinies of both East and West for centuries to come. The fall of Edessa was more than just a military defeat. It was a catalyst that spurred a renewed fervor among the Crusaders and their adversaries alike. It serves as a reminder of the enduring power of faith, the allure of conquest, and the tragic consequences of religious conflict. The events that unfolded in Edessa underscore the complex interplay between faith and power, and how these forces can drive nations to both greatness and ruin. Today, the ruins of Edessa stand as a silent testament to this tumultuous period, a reminder of the clash of civilizations, the enduring power of faith, and the human cost of conflict. These ancient stones whisper tales of bravery, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of religious and territorial dominance. The city's legacy lives on, a stark reminder of the enduring impact of the Crusades and their indelible mark on the tapestry of history. As we walk through the remnants of Edessa, we are reminded of the lessons of the past and the enduring human spirit that continues to shape our world today. Edessa, a name etched in the annals of history. This ancient city, nestled in the heart of what we now call the Middle East, was a beacon of Christendom in a land dominated by Islam. Imagine a place where the faithful made pilgrimages to venerate relics, where churches stood tall, and where the echoes of Christian worship filled the air. This was Edessa, a city of immense strategic and religious significance. Founded centuries before the birth of Christ, Edessa had a rich and storied past. It was a crossroads of cultures, a melting pot of East and West. But by the 12th century, Edessa's importance had taken on a new dimension. It was a frontline state, a bulwark of Christendom against the rising tide of Islamic power. Edessa was a symbol of hope, a testament to the enduring power of faith. But its fate, like so many cities throughout history, would be determined by the relentless march of war. Out of the deserts of Mesopotamia, a new power was rising. His name was Zengi, the Atabeg of Mosul, a cunning and ambitious warlord driven by a vision of Islamic expansion. Zengi was a master strategist, a skilled warrior, and a ruthless leader. He understood the importance of uniting the fragmented Islamic world under his banner. He forged alliances, crushed his enemies, and expanded his domain with relentless determination. Zengi's gaze fell upon Edessa, a tempting prize, a symbol of Christian power ripe for the taking. He knew that capturing Edessa would not only expand his territory, but also strike a blow against the heart of Christendom. In 1144, Zengi set his sights on Edessa. He amassed an army and marched towards the city, his forces casting a long shadow over the surrounding countryside. The siege of Edessa had begun. The siege of Edessa was a brutal affair. Zengi's forces surrounded the city, cutting off its supply lines and bombarding its walls with relentless ferocity. Inside the city, fear and desperation gripped the inhabitants. The defenders of Edessa fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Zengi's forces breached the walls and the city fell in a torrent of violence and bloodshed. The streets ran red with the blood of the fallen. The fall of Edessa sent shockwaves throughout the region. It was a crushing defeat for Christendom, a victory that emboldened Zengi and his followers. The loss of this strategically vital city was a disaster for the Crusader states, leaving a gaping hole in their defenses. The capture of Edessa marked a turning point in the history of the Crusades. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of Christian power in the Holy Land and a harbinger of the challenges that lay ahead. News of the fall of Edessa travelled slowly, carried by weary travellers and merchants across the vast expanse of the Mediterranean Sea. When it finally reached Europe, it landed like a thunderbolt, igniting a firestorm of outrage and disbelief. Imagine the scene: monks in quiet monasteries receiving the news with trembling hands, kings in their castles hearing the reports with furrowed brows, and commoners in villages and towns listening to the pronouncements with fear and trepidation. The fall of Edessa was more than just a military defeat. It was a symbolic catastrophe, a blow to the very heart of Christendom. It was seen as a sign of God's displeasure, a punishment for the sins of mankind. Europe, still reeling from the shock, struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the loss. Edessa, once a symbol of Christian hope, was now a stark reminder of the power of Islam. The question on everyone's lips was, how could this happen? Section 5. A call to arms, Pope Eugenius III rallies Christendom. In the wake of the disaster at Edessa, one man rose to the challenge of rallying Christendom to action. His name was Pope Eugenius III, a man of deep faith, unwavering conviction, and a profound sense of duty. Eugenius understood the gravity of the situation. He knew that the fall of Edessa was not merely a local setback, but a threat to the very existence of Christendom in the Holy Land. He resolved to act swiftly and decisively. In 1145, Pope Eugenius III issued a papal bull, Quantum Predecessores. This impassioned plea for a new crusade was heard throughout the cathedrals and churches of Europe. It was a call to arms, a summons to defend the Holy Land from the forces of Islam. Eugenius's words struck a chord with the people of Europe. They were ready to answer the call to take up arms and embark on a perilous journey to the east. A new crusade was about to be born. Section 6, the Second Crusade, a response to disaster. The fall of Edessa had ignited a firestorm of religious zeal across Europe. The Second Crusade, fueled by a potent mix of faith, guilt, and a thirst for adventure, was a response to a crisis that resonated deeply with the people of the time. Imagine the scenes, thousands upon thousands of men and women from all walks of life, heeding the Pope's call. They assembled, a vast, colourful and chaotic throng, ready to sacrifice everything for their faith. The Second Crusade was not just a military campaign, it was a mass movement, a collective act of faith that transcended social and economic boundaries. It was a testament to the enduring power of religion in medieval Europe. For those who took the cross, the motivations were complex and deeply personal. Some sought redemption for their sins, others craved adventure, while many believed they were answering God's call. Whatever their reasons, they were united by a common purpose: to reclaim Edessa and defend the Holy Land. Section 7, Louis VII and Conrad III leading the charge. At the helm of this vast undertaking stood two of Europe's most powerful rulers, Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany. These monarchs, each driven by a complex web of personal and political motivations, answered the Pope's call and committed their armies and resources to the crusade. Louis VII, a deeply pious man, haunted by a sense of guilt, saw the crusade as an opportunity to atone for his sins and demonstrate his devotion to God. Conrad III, a shrewd and ambitious ruler, viewed the crusade as a chance to enhance his prestige and expand his influence in the East. Their decision to join the crusade was met with widespread enthusiasm. Across France and Germany, nobles and knights flocked to their banners, eager to win glory and honor in the Holy Land. The Second Crusade, it seemed, had the backing of some of Europe's mightiest warriors. Section 8. Disaster at Damascus, the crusade falters. The Second Crusade, initially greeted with so much hope and fervour, was about to descend into chaos and despair. The journey east was fraught with hardship, and the Crusaders, weakened by disease and plagued by internal divisions, soon found themselves facing a formidable enemy in the Seljuk Turks. The siege of Damascus in 1148 proved to be a turning point, a disastrous miscalculation that exposed the Crusade's fatal flaws. The Crusaders, their ranks riven by mistrust and poor leadership, were routed by the Seljuk Turks. The defeat at Damascus shattered the morale of the Crusaders. Louis VII and Conrad III, their armies decimated and their dreams of victory dashed, were forced to retreat in disgrace. The Second Crusade, once a beacon of hope, had ended in abject failure. Section 9. A legacy of failure, the unfulfilled promise. The Second Crusade, launched with such high hopes and fueled by such fervent religious zeal, ultimately failed to achieve its objectives. Edessa remained firmly in Muslim hands, and the Crusader states, weakened and demoralized, faced an increasingly uncertain future. The failure of the Second Crusade had profound consequences for both Europe and the Middle East. In Europe, it led to a period of soul-searching and recrimination, as people grappled with the implications of this devastating defeat. The papacy, its authority already under strain, suffered a significant blow to its prestige. In the Middle East, the Second Crusade had the unintended consequence of strengthening the position of the Seljuk Turks. The Muslim world, emboldened by its victory, grew more united and more determined to resist further Crusader incursions. Section 10. Echoes of Edessa, the enduring significance. The fall of Edessa and the subsequent Second Crusade serve as a stark reminder of the enduring power of religion to shape the course of history. The Crusades, with all their complexities and contradictions, were a product of their time, a reflection of the deep-seated beliefs and anxieties of medieval Europe. Though ultimately a military failure, the Second Crusade left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the West. It inspired countless tales of chivalry and sacrifice, shaping European views of the Middle East for centuries to come. The echoes of Edessa can still be felt today, reminding us of the enduring power of faith, the allure of conquest, and the tragic consequences of religious fanaticism. The Crusades, with all their triumphs and tragedies, continue to fascinate and challenge us, offering valuable lessons about the human. The year is 1145, a time of great turmoil and anticipation. Across Europe, a sense of urgency grips Christendom as the faithful are called to defend their beliefs and territories. Word has spread from the east, carried by weary travelers and desperate refugees, each with tales of woe and warnings of impending doom. The Latin East, painstakingly carved out by Christian armies decades earlier, is in peril. The once secure strongholds are now vulnerable to relentless attacks. The county of Edessa, a bulwark of Christendom in the Levant, has fallen to the resurgent forces of Islam. This loss is a significant blow to the Christian presence in the region. The news sends shockwaves through Europe, igniting fear and a call for action among the populace. Monks and town criers spread the urgent message far and wide. Pope Eugenius III issues a clarion call. A new crusade is needed to defend the Holy Land. His words resonate deeply, stirring the hearts of many. This time, the call to arms is answered by two of Europe's most powerful rulers, King Louis VII of France and Emperor Conrad III of Germany. Their commitment brings hope to the cause. Their decision to join the Second Crusade marks a pivotal moment in the history of the Crusades, one fraught with both hope and uncertainty. The journey ahead is perilous, but their resolve is unwavering, setting the stage for a historic campaign. To understand the fervour that gripped Europe, we must journey back to the late 11th century. The First Crusade, launched in 1095, had culminated in the improbable capture of Jerusalem. In the aftermath, Crusader states were established, clinging precariously to the edges of a hostile land. The county of Edessa, the most northerly of these states, was particularly vulnerable. Edessa's fall to the powerful Turkish warlord Zengi in 1144 shattered the fragile equilibrium of the region. It was a stark reminder of the ever-present threat posed by Islamic forces. News of the county's demise sent shockwaves through Christendom, igniting fears that Jerusalem itself might be the next target. The stage was set for a new crusade, one that would call upon the full might of Western Christendom. Louis VII of France, a deeply pious man, was profoundly moved by the fall of Edessa. He saw the loss of this Christian stronghold as a personal affront, a stain on the honour of Christendom. Moreover, Louis was not immune to the political currents swirling around him. A successful crusade, he believed, would enhance his prestige and solidify his authority at home. Louis's decision to take up the cross was also influenced by his wife, Eleanor of Aquitaine. Eleanor, a woman of considerable intellect and ambition, held vast estates in her own right. She too saw the crusade as an opportunity, a chance to assert her influence on the international stage. Thus, a confluence of piety, political expediency, and personal ambition propelled Louis VII towards the Holy Land. Across the Rhine, Conrad III, the newly crowned King of Germany, faced his own set of challenges. His authority, unlike Louis's, was far from secure. He grappled with rebellious nobles and a powerful rival in the form of Henry the Lion, Duke of Saxony. Conrad saw the crusade as a means of unifying his fractious kingdom under a common banner. Pope Eugenius III's impassioned plea for aid resonated deeply with Conrad. The Pope skillfully played upon Conrad's sense of duty, reminding him of his obligations as a Christian king. Furthermore, the Pope offered Conrad something tangible recognition of his imperial title, a prize that had eluded his predecessors. With promises of spiritual reward and worldly gain, Conrad III committed himself and his kingdom to the crusade. Section 5, A Tale of Two Armies, The Journey East. The spring of 1147 witnessed an unprecedented spectacle. Two vast armies, one French, the other German, converging on the Byzantine capital of Constantinople. This monumental journey was part of the Second Crusade, a grand endeavour to reclaim the Holy Lands from Muslim control. Louis VII, at the head of the French force, took the overland route, his army winding its way through the heart of Europe. They traversed dense forests, crossed bustling villages and navigated treacherous mountain passes, all while maintaining their resolve and unity. Conrad III, opting for a more southerly path, led his troops through Hungary and the Balkans. His route was no less challenging as they faced the rugged terrain of the Carpathian Mountains and the vast plains of the Balkans, testing the endurance and discipline of his soldiers. The journey east was fraught with peril. Natural obstacles such as rivers, mountains, and dense forests posed significant challenges. The armies had to set up camps in harsh conditions, often struggling to find adequate food and shelter. Both armies, hampered by logistical challenges and plagued by disease, suffered heavy losses even before reaching Byzantine territory. The lack of proper medical care and the spread of illness took a heavy toll on the soldiers, weakening their ranks significantly. The Crusaders' relationship with their Byzantine hosts was also strained. Negotiations were tense, and the interactions between the two groups were often marked by suspicion and mistrust. The Byzantines, wary of the Crusaders' intentions, offered them a lukewarm welcome, viewing them as much a threat as potential allies. The fortified city gates were guarded closely, and every move of the Crusaders was watched with a cautious eye, reflecting the complex and uneasy alliance between the two powers. Section 6. Challenges on the Road to Redemption. The Crusaders' arrival in Constantinople did little to ease the tensions. Cultural differences and linguistic barriers exacerbated the existing mistrust. Moreover, the Crusaders' military tactics, characterized by undisciplined zeal, filled the Byzantines with apprehension. The Emperor Manuel the Komnenos, pragmatic and shrewd, was determined to see the Crusaders on their way as quickly as possible. After a tense winter in Byzantine territory, the Crusaders crossed the Bosporus into Asia Minor. Here, their troubles multiplied. The terrain, rugged and unforgiving, proved a logistical nightmare. Supplies dwindled, and the scorching summer heat took a heavy toll on the Crusaders' ranks. Worse still, they were harassed relentlessly by Turkish raiders, their superior knowledge of the land turning the Anatolian plateau into a deadly battleground. Section 7. The Siege of Damascus, a costly miscalculation. Despite the setbacks, the Crusaders eventually reached their objective, the city of Damascus. Damascus, a wealthy and strategically vital city, was ruled by a Muslim prince who had, until recently, been allied with the Crusader states. The decision to attack Damascus, however, proved to be a colossal blunder. The siege of Damascus was poorly planned and haphazardly executed. The Crusaders, divided by internal squabbling and lacking a cohesive strategy, made little headway against the city's resolute defenders. Moreover, their decision to attack a former ally alienated potential Muslim allies, solidifying Islamic resistance to the Crusader presence. After a mere 4 days, the Crusaders were forced to abandon the siege, their dreams of victory in tatters. Section 8. The Crusaders' Legacy, a Mixed Bag. The Second Crusade, by any measure, was a dismal failure. Launched with high hopes and grand ambitions, it ended in a series of devastating defeats. It failed to achieve its primary objective, the recapture of Edessa, a city of immense strategic importance. Instead, it had weakened the Crusader states, sowed discord among Christian rulers, and inflamed Muslim resentment. The internal conflicts and lack of coordination among the Crusader leaders only exacerbated the situation. The Crusaders returned home in disgrace, their dreams of conquest shattered against the walls of Damascus. The journey back was long and arduous, filled with tales of hardship and loss. Yet, the Second Crusade was not entirely without consequence. It left an indelible mark on the historical landscape. It marked a turning point in the relationship between East and West, highlighting the growing chasm between the Latin West and the Byzantine East. The mistrust and animosity that grew from this period would have lasting repercussions. Moreover, it had a profound impact on the European psyche. The tales of failure and heroism spread through the continent, altering perceptions and expectations. The Crusades' failure led to a great deal of soul-searching, forcing Christians to confront the limits of their power and the complexities of the world beyond their borders. It was a humbling experience that reshaped the medieval worldview, leading to new strategies and approaches in future endeavors. Section 9. Conclusion. Echoes of the Crusade. The Second Crusade, though a military disaster, continues to resonate through the centuries. It stands as a testament to the enduring power of religious zeal and the seductive allure of conquest. It also serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the perils of hubris and the unintended consequences of even the most well-intentioned endeavors. The story of the Second Crusade, with its cast of kings, emperors and popes, its tales of battlefield valor and political intrigue, continues to fascinate us today. It offers a glimpse into a world in flux, a world on the cusp of great change. It is a story that, despite the passage of time, still has much to teach us about faith, ambition, and the human.
Damascus, a city that whispers tales of ancient times, where every stone and street has a story to tell, a city as old as time itself. Its history is etched in the ruins and historical buildings that stand as silent witnesses to the passage of centuries. Imagine bustling markets, the scent of spices, the sound of prayer echoing through ancient streets. The vibrant bazaars are a sensory feast where the past and present blend seamlessly. This is Damascus, a city that has seen empires rise and fall. From the Romans to the Ottomans, each era has left its mark, creating a rich tapestry of history. It has weathered storms, both literal and metaphorical. The city has faced natural disasters and human conflicts, yet it stands resilient, a testament to its enduring spirit. Through it all, Damascus has stood strong. The sunsets over its skyline are a daily reminder of its beauty and resilience, a city that never loses hope, its people resilient, their spirit unbroken. They carry the legacy of their ancestors, living their lives with dignity and grace amidst challenges. They have faced challenges head-on, their faith a guiding light. The mosques and places of worship are not just buildings, they are sanctuaries of hope and resilience. This is a story about resilience, about the power of community, about the enduring spirit of Damascus. The community events and traditional celebrations are a testament to their unity and strength. Damascus, known as the Eye of the East, has been a cradle of civilization for over 11,000 years. Its historical sites and ancient artifacts tell the story of human progress and cultural evolution. It has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the ebb and flow of history. Each landmark is a chapter in the grand narrative of human civilization. Through times of peace and periods of conflict, Damascus has endured. The city has seen destruction and reconstruction, yet it continues to thrive, a symbol of hope and renewal. Its story is a testament to the strength and resilience of its people, a testament to the power of the human spirit. The faces of its residents tell stories of courage, hope, and an unyielding will to survive and prosper. Islam teaches unity, it teaches compassion, it teaches resilience. In Damascus, these principles are woven into the fabric of life. Muslims in Damascus and around the world find strength in their shared faith. This bond transcends borders and cultures. It's a lifeline in times of hardship. When disaster strikes, it's the local community that steps up first. They offer food, shelter, and a shoulder to lean on. This unity is not just about shared beliefs, it's about shared humanity. It's about recognizing the strength we find in one another. History is a testament to Muslim resilience. The annals of time are filled with stories of their unwavering faith and determination. From the early days of Islam, Muslims have faced persecution and hardship. The early Islamic community endured immense trials, from social ostracism to physical threats. But they have always emerged stronger, their faith unwavering. Their prayers, their unity, and their dedication to their beliefs have been their guiding light. Think of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers. Their journey, known as the Hijrah, was a monumental act of resilience and faith. They faced exile, they faced violence, yet they continued to spread the message of peace and unity, never wavering in their mission, but they never lost hope. Their hope was a beacon, guiding them through the darkest of times, illuminating their path forward. Their spirit, unyielding, became a beacon for generations to come. Remember the Spanish Inquisition? It was a time of severe trials, yet their resilience shone through. Muslims and Jews, facing unimaginable cruelty, held on to their faith. Their shared suffering forged a bond of solidarity and mutual support. They built new lives in new lands, their spirit unbroken. In foreign lands, they established communities, preserving their traditions and culture. These stories are not just history, they are living testimonies of resilience, echoing through the corridors of time. They are lessons in resilience, whispered through generations. Each story, each lesson, a testament to the enduring spirit of a people who have faced adversity with grace and strength. Damascus, throughout its long history, has been a melting pot of cultures. This diversity has only strengthened its resilience. The people of Damascus have learned to adapt, to rebuild, to come together in the face of adversity. This local strength has global implications. When Muslims in Damascus face hardship, the global Muslim community feels it, and they respond with overwhelming support. This interconnectedness is a testament to the power of unity. It's a reminder that we are all part of something larger than ourselves. Section 5. The enduring spirit of Damascus, a beacon of hope. Damascus stands as a beacon of hope, a city that has weathered countless storms and yet continues to shine brightly. It's a city that refuses to be defined by its challenges. Instead, it rises above them, showcasing the resilience and determination of its people. It's a city that chooses to celebrate its strength, its diversity, its unwavering spirit. The vibrant cultural festivals, the diverse communities living in harmony, all paint a picture of a city that thrives on unity. The story of Damascus is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can flourish. Children playing in parks, families gathering in their homes, these simple moments of joy and togetherness are the threads that weave the fabric of hope. This hope is not passive, it is active, vibrant, and alive. It is seen in the community leaders who tirelessly work to bring about positive change, and in the volunteers who dedicate their time to rebuilding and supporting their fellow citizens. It's a call to action, a call that resonates deeply within the hearts of the youth who participate in community projects, planting trees and nurturing the environment for future generations. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in building a better future. Teachers in classrooms, community meetings, all these efforts contribute to the collective goal of a brighter tomorrow. A future where unity triumphs over division, where compassion overcomes hatred, and where the spirit of togetherness is stronger than any force that seeks to divide, where resilience paves the way for a brighter tomorrow. As the sun rises over Damascus, it brings with it the promise of a new day, a new beginning, and the enduring hope that the future holds endless possibilities. Section 6. Beyond Damascus, Muslim Resilience Worldwide. Look beyond Damascus. From the streets of Cairo to the villages of Indonesia, Muslims are demonstrating resilience every day. They face poverty, discrimination, and conflict, but they meet these challenges with unwavering faith and a commitment to community. Think of the Rohingya Muslims forced to flee their homes in Myanmar. They have shown incredible resilience, rebuilding their lives in the face of unimaginable hardship. Their story, like that of countless others, is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Section 7, Everyday Heroes, Stories of Strength and Compassion. Resilience isn't always about grand gestures. It's often found in the everyday acts of kindness and courage. It's the doctor working tirelessly to save lives. It's the teacher inspiring the next generation. It's the neighbor lending a helping hand. These everyday heroes remind us that resilience is not a superpower. It's a choice. It's a choice to face challenges with courage, with compassion, with an unwavering belief in the power of humanity. Section 8, Building Bridges, Breaking Barriers, Unity and Diversity. The Muslim world is incredibly diverse, different cultures, languages, traditions. But within this diversity lies a powerful unity, a unity rooted in shared faith, shared values, shared aspirations. This unity is a source of strength. It allows Muslims to learn from each other, to support each other, to celebrate their shared heritage. In a world often divided, this unity is a powerful force for good. Section 9, The Power of Faith, Anchoring Hope in Challenging Times. Faith is a powerful anchor in times of hardship. It provides comfort, guidance, and a sense of purpose. For Muslims, faith is not just about rituals and practices, it's a way of life. It's about striving to be better, to do good, to make a positive impact on the world. This faith fuels resilience. It empowers individuals and communities to face challenges with hope and determination. Section 10, Lessons from the Past, Hope for the Future, a Legacy of Resilience. The story of Muslim resilience is still being written. Every day, Muslims around the world are demonstrating the power of faith, the strength of community, the importance of hope. We must remember these stories, we must share these stories, because they remind us that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit can triumph. They remind us that hope is a powerful force, capable of moving mountains and transforming lives. Section 11, A Call to Action, Cultivating Unity and Strength. The story of Damascus is an inspiration. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we all have a responsibility to cultivate resilience within ourselves and our communities. We can start by embracing our shared humanity, by building bridges of understanding, by standing up for justice and equality. Let's draw inspiration from the resilience of Damascus and countless other communities around the world. Imagine Europe, a tapestry of kingdoms stitched together by rivers of silver and fields of gold. Each kingdom, a unique thread in this grand tapestry, contributed to the rich and diverse landscape of medieval Europe. From the bustling marketplaces to the serene countryside, life thrived in a delicate balance. Yet beneath this beauty, a storm brewed. The skies darkened with the promise of conflict, and the winds whispered tales of impending strife. The peace that once reigned was fragile, easily shattered by the ambitions of men. Knights clad in mail and plate thundered across the land. These warriors, mounted on powerful steeds, were the embodiment of medieval might. Their armor gleamed under the sun, a testament to their readiness for battle. They were iron wolves, hungry for glory, driven by ambition. Each knight carried dreams of honor and valor, their eyes set on the horizon where their destiny awaited. The battlefield was their stage, and they were eager to perform. Their world was one of clashing swords, of sieges that choked the sky with smoke, of battle cries echoing across blood-soaked fields. The air was thick with the scent of iron and the cries of the wounded. Every battle was a test of strength and strategy, a dance of death where only the strongest survived. This was an age of chivalry, yes, but also an age of brutal reality, where defeat carried a heavy price. The code of chivalry dictated their actions, but the harshness of war often blurred the lines between honor and survival. These warriors, sworn to oaths of loyalty and valor, lived and died by a strict code. Their word was their bond, and breaking an oath was unthinkable. Loyalty to their lord and comrades was paramount, a guiding principle in the chaos of war. Their honor was paramount, a shield more precious than any steel. It was their identity, their legacy. To lose one's honor was a fate worse than death, a stain that could never be washed away. But what happened when the tide of war turned against them? When the enemy's forces overwhelmed their defenses and retreat became the only option? The weight of defeat was crushing, a bitter pill that many could not swallow. When the carefully crafted plans crumbled and defeat cast its long shadow upon their banners, the fall of a banner symbolized the fall of a kingdom, a stark reminder of the fragility of power. In the heart of this maelstrom, a dangerous game of blame and retaliation began, fueling the fires of conflict for generations to come. Accusations flew, alliances shifted, and the cycle of violence continued. The quest for power and retribution became an endless saga, shaping the destiny of a continent awash in steel. A knight's word was his bond. It was a sacred promise, a vow that could never be broken without dire consequences. This oath was not just a formality, it was the very essence of their existence, the foundation upon which their entire life was built. His reputation, his most valuable possession, it was a shining beacon that guided his every action, a testament to his honor and bravery. The gleam of his armor was a reflection of his unblemished name, a symbol of his unwavering commitment to his code. To be branded a coward, a traitor, or worse, incompetent, was a fate worse than death. Such labels were not just words, they were daggers that pierced the very soul, leaving scars that could never heal. The judgment of others was a heavy burden, a constant reminder of the high stakes of their chosen path. They craved victory, yes, but more importantly, they craved to be found worthy. Worthiness was the ultimate prize, a validation of their sacrifices and struggles. In the quiet moments before battle, they sought solace in prayer, hoping for the strength to prove themselves once more. Each battle was a test, a chance to prove their mettle. The clash of swords, the roar of the battlefield. These were the crucibles in which their true character was forged. Every swing of the blade was a statement, a declaration of their resolve and courage. This relentless pressure, this weight of expectation, could crush even the bravest soul. In the solitude of their tents, they grappled with their doubts and fears. The heavy sword, a metaphor for the burdens they carried. The struggle was not just physical, but deeply emotional. A battle within that was as fierce as any fought on the field. Defeat was not an option. To falter was to fail not just themselves, but those who depended on them. The stakes were always high, the margin for error non-existent. Their determination was a shield, their resolve a weapon. It was a stain, a festering wound on their pride. Every dent in their armor, every crack in their shield, was a reminder of their vulnerability, a testament to the battles lost and the mistakes made. These were not just physical damages, but emotional scars that haunted them. To accept responsibility was to court disaster, to invite whispers that could poison a reputation built over a lifetime of service. The court was a place of intrigue and suspicion, where every word and action was scrutinized. The fear of betrayal was ever present, a shadow that loomed over their every move. And so they looked elsewhere, seeking a scapegoat to bear the weight of their failures. In the harsh light of judgment, it was easier to deflect blame than to face the harsh truth. The search for a scapegoat was a desperate act of self-preservation, a way to protect their fragile honor in a world that demanded perfection. Treachery whispered on the wind. It was far easier to point a finger at a rival, a subordinate who failed to deliver, or even a twist of fate, than to accept the bitter truth of one's own shortcomings. Accusations flew like arrows, poisoned barbs aimed at the reputations of others. Was it a misplaced command that led to the rout, a miscalculation of the enemy's strength, or perhaps a whispered betrayal, a poisoned well of loyalty? Whatever the reason, someone had to be held accountable. The search for a scapegoat became a macabre dance, a desperate attempt to salvage honor from the jaws of defeat. News of defeat traveled fast, carried by ravens and whispered by tongues both loyal and treacherous. In the halls of vanquished lords, anger festered. The thirst for revenge, a bitter wine, filled their cups. Plans were hatched in the dead of night, fueled by whispers of vengeance. Their enemies, emboldened by victory, might have believed their triumph complete, but they underestimated the resolve of those they had wronged. Retaliation was a dish best served cold, and its architects were masters of patience and cunning. Section 5. The Fury of the Fallen, Retaliation's Bitter Song. The counterattack, when it came, was swift and merciless. The knights, once defenders of their realm, now turned into avengers, their hearts hardened by the losses they had suffered. Like a storm long brewing, it broke upon their enemies with terrifying force. The pent-up rage and sorrow of countless battles lost and comrades fallen fueled their every strike. No longer content with mere defense, the fallen knights sought to reclaim what was lost, to turn the tide of war in their favor. They stormed enemies' strongholds with a ferocity that left their foes reeling. To inflict upon their foes the same pain they had endured, they fought with a relentless drive. Every wound they inflicted was a testament to their unyielding spirit. The clang of steel on steel was their symphony, a haunting melody that echoed across the battlefield. Each clash of swords was a note in their song of vengeance. The cries of the dying, their chorus, a grim reminder of the cost of war. Yet these sounds only spurred them on, driving them to fight harder, to push further. They fought with the fury of cornered wolves, their desperation turning into a formidable weapon. Each knight, though surrounded, fought with the strength of 10 men. Fueled by righteous anger and a burning desire for retribution, they became an unstoppable force. Their battle cries echoed through the air, a declaration of their unbreakable will. No quarter was given, no mercy shown. The battlefield became a testament to their resolve, littered with the fallen who had dared to stand against them. This was not just war, it was personal. Each knight carried a vendetta, a deeply personal reason to fight. Their determination was etched on their faces, their eyes burning with the fire of vengeance. As the sun set on the blood-soaked field, the knights stood victorious, their bitter song of retaliation echoing in the silence that followed. They had reclaimed their honor, but at a great cost. The battle was over, but the scars it left would remain forever. The knights knew that their fight was far from finished, but for now they had won a hard-fought victory. Section 6. Scars of betrayal, the price of misplaced trust. Betrayal cut deep, leaving wounds that festered long after the swords were sheathed. The knights, hardened by battle, learned to trust sparingly, to see enemies in the shadows, even among their own ranks. Paranoia became their constant companion, poisoning alliances and turning brother against brother. The very foundations of loyalty upon which their world was built began to crumble. The cycle of blame and retaliation, once ignited, proved difficult to extinguish. For every act of retaliation, there was a counter-reaction, an endless cycle of violence that consumed entire generations. Kingdoms rose and fell, alliances shifted like the sands of time, and still the knights fought on. Their thirst for vengeance, passed down from father to son, became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Each generation inherited the grudges of the last, their destinies entwined in a never-ending dance of death. The impact of these conflicts reached far beyond the battlefield. Trade routes were disrupted, castles lay in ruins, and the lives of countless innocents were lost or forever altered. The very fabric of society was torn apart, leaving scars that would take generations to heal. Yet, from the ashes of destruction, new ideas began to emerge. The seeds of doubt, sown by the betrayals and power struggles of the knights, took root. People began to question the absolute authority of their rulers, to demand a greater say in their own destinies. Though the age of knights may be long gone, their stories hold valuable lessons for us today. The dangers of unchecked ambition, the corrosive nature of blame, and the devastating consequences of revenge are themes that resonate throughout history. By understanding the motivations and actions of these warriors, we gain a deeper understanding of our own capacity for both good and evil. The knights, for all their flaws, also embodied courage, loyalty, and a fierce determination to protect the innocent. These are qualities that continue to inspire us today. The knights of medieval Europe left behind a complex legacy, one marked by both chivalry and brutality. Their code of honor, though admirable in its ideals, could also be a double-edged sword, leading to a relentless pursuit of vengeance. Their stories serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the noblest of intentions can have unintended consequences. In the end, it is up to us to learn from the past and to strive for a future where honor and justice prevail over blame and retribution. The Crusades were a series of religious wars fought between Christians and Muslims from the 11th to the 13th centuries. Driven by religious fervor, political ambition, and economic desire, they were a complex phenomenon. The First Crusade began in 1095 when Pope Urban II called on Christians to retake Jerusalem from Muslim rule. Jerusalem, a holy city for both Christianity and Islam, had been under Muslim control for centuries. The Pope's call ignited a wave of religious enthusiasm across Europe. Thousands of people, from peasants to knights, answered the call and embarked on a perilous journey to the east. The Crusaders saw themselves as fighting for God and believed their sins would be forgiven if they died in battle. The Crusades had a profound impact on both Europe and the Middle East, leading to the establishment of Crusader states in the Levant. They also resulted in widespread violence and bloodshed, continuing to be a subject of debate and controversy today. People became Crusaders for a variety of reasons, with religious zeal playing a significant role. Many believed fighting for God was their sacred duty and saw Muslims as infidels who had unjustly seized the Holy Land. Economic motives also attracted some, with the promise of land and riches in the East being a powerful lure. Younger sons who stood to inherit little at home saw the Crusades as an opportunity for adventure and glory. Political factors also played a part, with the Byzantine Empire appealing to the West for help against the Seljuk Turks. Popes saw the Crusades as a way to assert their authority and heal the schism between the Eastern and Western churches. The Crusades offered a chance for redemption, with many believing that fighting in the Holy Land would atone for their sins. For some, it was a way to escape poverty, boredom, or even justice. The combination of these factors created a powerful incentive for many to take up the cross. The First Crusade, from 1095 to 1099, was the most successful for the Crusaders, capturing Jerusalem and establishing several Crusader states in the Levant. This victory was short-lived as the Muslim world began to unite against the Crusader presence. The Second Crusade, from 1147 to 1149, ended in failure. The Third Crusade, from 1189 to 1192, involved Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. Richard failed to recapture Jerusalem but negotiated a treaty for Christian pilgrims. The Fourth Crusade, from 1202 to 1204, sacked Constantinople, deepening the rift between Eastern and Western churches. The last Crusader stronghold, Acre, fell in 1291, ending the Crusader presence in the Levant. The Crusades were marked by significant events and figures influencing the modern world. The Crusades were brutal and bloody affairs, with the reality of warfare taking a toll on the Crusaders' morale. They embarked on their journey with high hopes and religious fervor, but the harsh realities of the East challenged their faith and ideals. The Crusaders faced numerous setbacks and defeats, leading many to question the righteousness of their cause. Doubt and disillusionment crept in as they witnessed the brutality of war and the complex realities of the Muslim world. The Crusaders, initially motivated by religious zeal, sometimes engaged in acts of barbarity that contradicted their Christian beliefs. This dissonance between their faith and actions likely contributed to feelings of guilt and shame. Encountering a different culture and religion in the East, they realized that Islam was not a simplistic evil force as they had been led to believe. This exposure to a different faith may have planted seeds of doubt in the minds of some Crusaders. Despite the initial shock of the First Crusade, the Muslim world proved to be more resilient than the Crusaders had anticipated. Muslim rulers, initially divided, gradually united against the Crusader presence. Leaders like Nur ad-Din and Saladin emerged as powerful figures who rallied Muslim forces. The Muslim world was characterized by diverse cultures, languages, and even sects within Islam. However, the Crusader threat acted as a unifying force, prompting cooperation and alliances among Muslim rulers. The Crusades coincided with a period of intellectual and cultural flourishing in the Muslim world. Centers of learning like Baghdad and Cairo continued to thrive, producing advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The Crusades did little to diminish this intellectual vibrancy. The Muslim world also held economic advantages, controlling important trade routes connecting East and West. The Crusades, while disrupting some trade, ultimately did not cripple the Muslim economy. The Crusades had a lasting impact on the Middle East, leaving behind a legacy of resentment and mistrust. The memory of the Crusades continued to shape relations between Christians and Muslims. The Crusades deepened the divide between Muslims and Christians. This legacy of mistrust continues to resonate today. The Crusades destabilized the political landscape of the Middle East. The rise of leaders like Saladin can be partly attributed to the Crusader threat. The Crusades had a profound impact on Europe, leading to significant social, economic, and political changes. They exposed Europeans to new ideas, cultures, and goods, broadening their horizons. The Crusades fostered the growth of trade between Europe and the East. This led to the rise of powerful trading cities in Italy, such as Venice and Genoa. The Crusades also contributed to the decline of feudalism in Europe. Many feudal lords were killed or bankrupted, weakening the feudal system. The Crusades had a significant impact on the Catholic Church. The papacy initially gained power and prestige from its role in the Crusades. The Crusades opened up new channels of trade and cultural exchange between Europe and the East. European crusaders returned home with new goods, ideas, and knowledge, which they disseminated throughout European society. Eastern luxury goods, such as spices, silks, and perfumes, flooded European markets, transforming European tastes and consumption patterns. The Crusades also exposed Europeans to Islamic learning, which was far more advanced in many areas, such as mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. European scholars began to translate Arabic texts into Latin, making this knowledge accessible to a wider audience. The Crusades also introduced Europeans to new technologies and innovations from the East, such as the astrolabe, gunpowder, and the printing press. These technologies were adapted and improved upon in Europe, contributing to the scientific revolution and the Renaissance. The Crusades continue to cast a long shadow on relations between the West and the Muslim world. The memory of the Crusades is often invoked by both sides, sometimes to justify violence or discrimination. Understanding the Crusades and their legacy is crucial for promoting dialogue and understanding in the present day. The Crusades are often portrayed in the West as a romantic adventure or a heroic defense of Christendom. However, this simplistic narrative ignores the complex historical realities and the human cost of the Crusades. In the Muslim world, the Crusades are often remembered as a period of Western aggression and brutality. The memory of the Crusades is often used to fuel anti-Western sentiment and to justify violence against the West. It is important to acknowledge the atrocities committed by both sides during the Crusades. The Crusades offer valuable lessons about the dangers of religious extremism, the complexities of intercultural relations, and the unintended consequences of human actions. By studying the Crusades, we can gain a deeper understanding of the historical roots of contemporary conflicts and learn from the mistakes of the past. The Crusades demonstrate the dangers of religious fanaticism and the perversion of faith for political or economic gain. They serve as a cautionary tale about the horrors that can unfold when religious differences are exploited to justify violence and oppression. The Crusades also highlight the importance of intercultural understanding and the need for empathy and respect in a world of diverse cultures and religions. Misunderstanding, prejudice, and fear fueled the Crusades, leading to centuries of mistrust and conflict. The Crusades also teach us that even well-intentioned actions can have unintended and often tragic consequences. The Crusades were a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that left an enduring legacy on both Europe and the Middle East. They were a period of intense religious fervor, military conflict, and cultural exchange, with far-reaching consequences that continue to shape the world today. The Crusades were not a monolithic event, but rather a series of campaigns spanning centuries, each with its own unique characteristics and outcomes. To understand the Crusades, we must move beyond simplistic narratives and grapple with their complexities and contradictions. The Crusades offer valuable lessons about the dangers of religious extremism, the importance of intercultural dialogue, and the unintended consequences of human actions. By studying the Crusades, we can gain a deeper understanding of the historical roots of contemporary conflicts and learn from the mistakes of the past. The Crusades remind us that history is not a simple story of good versus evil, but rather a complex tapestry woven from the actions and choices of countless individuals and groups.